Don't bother showing up tonight. You bring absolutely nothing to the table, Maya. My mother's voice carried across the entire hospital break room. She didn't whisper it or pull me aside. She announced it like a proclamation, making sure every nurse, every orderly, every person within earshot heard her dismiss me. I stood there holding my coffee, feeling the heat rise to my cheeks. Not from anger, not yet. From pure humiliation. My mother, Vivian Carter, was the nursing director at Riverside Medical Center. She was respected, admired, even feared by some. Her word was law on 3 floors of this building. And I was her daughter. Maya Carter. The invisible one. The one she introduced to new staff as just a coordinator, even though I'd been here for 8 years. The one she told people, tries her best, with that patronizing smile that made my stomach turn. I worked at the same hospital as my mother. It had always been complicated. But today it became unbearable. Her assistant, Bridget, smirked behind her mug. She'd been trying to take my job for months and my mother encouraged it. The dinner is for family who actually contribute something, my mother continued, adjusting her perfect blazer. You understand, don't you, dear? I wanted to scream. To defend myself. To list everything I actually did around here. But my throat closed up. My mother had always been good at making me feel small. Growing up, nothing I did was ever quite right. My brother got praise for decent grades. I got lectures about wasted potential even when I brought home straight A's. My sister's career as a real estate agent was impressive and entrepreneurial. My hospital job was nice that you found something stable. I'd learned to accept it. To shrink myself down. To stay quiet and just work harder. But working at the same hospital changed everything. Now she could criticize me professionally and personally. She could undermine me in front of colleagues. She could take credit for my work and nobody questioned it. I was the one who reorganized the entire scheduling system 2 years ago. She presented it to administration as her innovation. I was the one who trained every new hire for the past 3 years. She told people it was a team effort. I stayed late almost every night fixing problems, handling emergencies, making sure everything ran smoothly. And she made sure I stayed invisible. Maya means well, she'd say with that smile. She's just not leadership material. I heard her say it so many times I started believing it myself. But today felt different. Today she didn't just dismiss me privately. She humiliated me in front of everyone. The break room fell silent after her announcement. My coworkers suddenly became very interested in their phones, their coffee, anything except looking at me. Mom, I whispered, my voice barely steady. Can we please talk about this in private? She tilted her head, that familiar expression of disappointment crossing her face. No, sweetheart. Some lessons need witnesses. That sentence cut through me like glass. Bridget actually laughed. A small, cruel sound that made my hands shake. My mother picked up her designer bag and slung it over her shoulder. She handed Bridget her tablet like they were the real family. The dinner starts at 7, she said to Bridget. You should come. We're celebrating the people who actually matter. Bridget beamed. I'd love to. Then my mother looked back at me one last time. Maya, do yourself a favor. Stay home tonight. Reflect on what you could be contributing if you actually tried. She walked out. The door swung shut behind her. And I stood there, coffee growing cold in my hands, surrounded by people pretending they hadn't just witnessed my complete humiliation. My phone buzzed. Family group chat. Can't wait for tonight. Mom's making her famous roast. Everyone dress nice. Nobody mentioned me. Nobody asked where I was. They knew I wasn't invited. I made it to the supply closet before the tears came. Ugly, choking sobs that I muffled against a box of surgical gloves. I wasn't just excluded from a dinner. I was excluded from my own family. And the worst part? This wasn't new. This had been my entire life. My mother finding ways to remind me I wasn't good enough. My siblings going along with it because it was easier than standing up for me. My father staying silent like always. I thought about all the times I'd swallowed my pride. All the times I'd let her take credit for my work. All the times I'd smiled through her backhanded compliments. I thought about quitting. About walking away from this hospital and never seeing her again. But something else happened between those sobs. Something shifted inside me. A small, burning coal of clarity. This was the last time. The last time she would tell me I was nothing. The last time I would believe her. I wiped my face with the back of my hand and took a shaky breath. My phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't the family chat. It was Mr. Harrison, the Chief Operations Officer. Maya, I need to see you in my office before your shift ends. It's important. My stomach dropped. I walked to Mr. Harrison's office with my heart pounding. Had my mother said something? Was I being fired? She tried to sabotage me before. Small things. Questioning my competence in meetings. Suggesting I needed more supervision. I knocked on his door. Come in, Maya. Mr. Harrison was in his late 50s with kind eyes and a reputation for being fair. He'd been COO for 15 years and actually paid attention to what happened in this hospital. I sat down across from his desk, my hands clasped in my lap. Maya, he said, leaning back in his chair. I'll get straight to the point. I've been watching your work for the past year. My pulse raced. You're the reason this hospital actually functions, he continued. The scheduling system, the training protocols, the crisis management. That's all you, isn't it? I blinked, stunned. Yes, sir. He nodded. I thought so. Your mother takes credit in meetings, but I've been checking the actual documentation. Your name is on everything. I couldn't speak. I want to offer you a new position, he said, sliding a folder across the desk. Operations Manager of the East Wing. The East Wing. The busiest, most critical section of the entire hospital. But my mother. He held up his hand. This has nothing to do with her. You earned this. It's time everyone knew. I stared at the folder in my hands. Operations Manager. East Wing. My name on the contract. Mr. Harrison, I don't know what to say. He smiled. Say yes. We need you in that role. The department has been struggling, and you're the only person I trust to fix it. My mind raced. This was everything I'd worked toward for years. Everything my mother said I'd never achieve. There's one condition, he added. You can't tell anyone yet. We're making the official announcement tomorrow afternoon. HR needs to finalize the paperwork. Tomorrow afternoon. The family dinner was tonight. The dinner I wasn't invited to because I brought nothing to the table. Something clicked into place. I accept, I said quietly. He stood and shook my hand. Congratulations, Maya. This is going to change things around here. I walked out of his office in a daze. Change things. Yes, it would. My phone buzzed with another family group chat message. Mom wants everyone there by 6:45. Everyone except me. I looked down at the folder in my hands. And slowly, carefully I smiled. I was going to that dinner. Not to beg for acceptance. Not to prove myself. But to show them exactly what I brought to the table. I went home and laid the folder on my kitchen counter. Inside was everything. My new title. My new salary. Almost double what I made now. The official announcement draft. A letter from Mr. Harrison explaining my promotion. Everything my mother said I'd never have. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I felt tired. Tired of fighting for respect I should have been given freely. Tired of proving myself to people who should have believed in me from the start. But tonight wasn't about them anymore. Tonight was about me finally standing up. I changed into a nice dress. Nothing too fancy but professional. The kind of outfit that said I belonged. I printed an extra copy of the promotion letter and put it in a clean manila envelope. Then I drove to my parents' house. Their cars filled the driveway. My brother's truck. My sister's sedan. Even Bridget's car was there. Everyone was invited. Everyone except me. I parked on the street and walked up the path to the front door. My hands shook as I rang the doorbell. I heard laughter inside. Glasses clinking. The warm sound of a family celebration. Footsteps approached. The door opened. My mother stood there, her smile freezing when she saw me. Maya, what are you doing here? Her voice was ice. She didn't move to let me in. She stood in the doorway like a guard, blocking my entry into my own family's home. Behind her, I could see everyone gathered around the dining table. My brother mid-laugh. My sister pouring wine. My father carving the roast. Bridget sat in what used to be my chair. I told you not to come, my mother said, her voice low but sharp. I met her eyes. I know. Then why? Because I brought something to the table, I said quietly. She blinked, confused. I didn't wait for permission. I stepped past her into the house. The dining room fell silent. My brother's laugh died mid-sound. My sister's hand froze on the wine bottle. My father looked up from the roast, surprise crossing his face. Bridget's smirk faded. Tessa, my mother's voice was sharp behind me. I told you. I know what you told me, I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. I walked to the dining table and placed the manila envelope in the center, right between the wine glasses and my mother's fancy centerpiece. Everyone stared at it like it might explode. What is this? My mother demanded. I smiled. Come. Polite. Open it. My mother snatched up the envelope and tore it open. Her eyes scanned the first line, then widened. Her breath caught. Her face went completely white. What? She whispered. How? My brother leaned over. What is it? She couldn't speak. Her hands trembled as she held the letter. I spoke for her. I was promoted today. Operations manager of the East Wing. The announcement goes out tomorrow. The silence was deafening. My sister gasped. Operations manager? But that's a major position, I finished. Yes. My mother finally found her voice. This must be a mistake. You're not qualified for. I am, I interrupted gently. Mr. Harrison approached me directly. He's been watching my work for the past year. My brother grabbed the letter from her shaking hands and read it himself. Holy shit, he breathed. This is real. My mother sank into her chair. For the first time in my entire life I watched my mother, the woman who always had something to say, who always had control, sit there speechless. Turns out I bring more to the table than you thought, I said softly. My father cleared his throat. Maya, this is wonderful news. Why didn't you tell us? My mother shot him a look that could kill. She didn't tell us because it just happened, Bridget said, her voice sharp with jealousy. This is probably some kind of pity promotion. I turned to her. Actually, Mr. Harrison specifically mentioned that I've been doing the real work for years while others took credit. Bridget's face flushed red. My mother found her voice again. This is inappropriate. You can't just walk into a family dinner uninvited and... You're right, I said. It was inappropriate. Just like it was inappropriate to tell me I bring nothing to the table in front of all our co-workers. The room went still. My sister's eyes filled with tears. She said that to you? At work. I nodded. This morning. In front of everyone. My brother stood up. Mom, what the hell? My mother's composure cracked. That's not. I was trying to teach her about workplace expectations. You humiliated her, my sister said, her voice shaking. In public. My father set down his carving knife. Vivian, is this true? My mother's jaw tightened. You don't understand the context. The context, I said quietly, is that I've been doing your job and mine for years. And you made sure nobody knew it. She stood abruptly. That's not true. I've worked hard. You have, I agreed. But so have I. And you made sure I never got credit for it. My phone buzzed. I pulled out my phone. Mr. Harrison's name lit up the screen. Excuse me, I said and answered it on speaker. Hello. Maya, quick update. The announcement is going out tonight instead of tomorrow. HR just finalized everything. My mother's face drained of color. Also, Mr. Harrison continued, I wanted to give you a heads up. We're restructuring the leadership hierarchy next quarter. Your department will be expanding and several units will report directly to operations. My heart stopped. Including the nursing director's office, he added. My mother grabbed the edge of the table. Several units. Including nursing. My mother's department. Reporting to me. Thank you, sir, I managed. I'll be ready. I know you will. Congratulations again. He hung up. The silence in the dining room was absolute. My mother stared at me like I'd just stabbed her. Your department. My brother said slowly, looking between us. Mom, does that mean? It means, I said quietly, that in a few months she'll be reporting to me. My mother's hands trembled on the table. This can't be happening, she whispered. But it was. And everyone at that table knew it. The power had shifted. And it would never shift back. My mother grabbed my wrist. Hard. Maya, wait. We need to talk about this. Privately. Her grip was tight. Desperate. I looked down at her hand, then back up at her face. For the first time in my life, I saw fear in her eyes. Not anger. Not disappointment. Fear. There's nothing to discuss, I said gently, pulling my arm away. Administration makes staffing decisions. Not me. But surely you can say something, she pressed. You can tell them this restructuring doesn't make sense. Actually, I said, it makes perfect sense. Operations oversees efficiency. The nursing director's office has had some issues lately. Her face went white. What issues? My father asked. I didn't want to do this. But she'd pushed me to this point. Several staff complaints about management style, I said carefully. Concerns about favoritism, outdated protocols, and staff morale. My mother's jaw dropped. Those are lies. They're documented with HR, I said. Multiple complaints over the past 18 months. My brother's eyes widened. Mom, is this true? She couldn't answer. Guess it was true. And now everyone knew it. There's something else, I added, my voice quiet. Administration is conducting leadership evaluations next month. My mother sank back into her chair. I'm on the evaluation committee. My father finally spoke. Vivian, what is going on? My mother's perfect composure shattered. This is ridiculous. She's my daughter, she can't evaluate me, there are rules. The rules, I said, state that department heads can be evaluated by their superiors. Which I will be. My sister wiped her eyes. Good. My mother spun toward her. Excuse me. I said good, my sister repeated, her voice stronger now. Maybe someone should have called you out years ago. My brother nodded. She's right, Mom. The way you treat Maya is awful. We've all seen it. You've seen nothing, my mother snapped. I've been trying to help her. Help her? My sister's voice rose. You told her she brings nothing to the table. You've spent years making her feel worthless. My father looked at me, sadness in his eyes. Maya, I'm sorry. I should have said something long ago. My mother looked around the table, seeing her family turn against her for the first time. You're all turning on me because she got lucky at work? Her voice was shrill now. This is insane. It's not luck, I said quietly. It's 8 years of hard work that you refuse to acknowledge. Bridget stood suddenly. I should go. Yes, I said. You should. She grabbed her purse and practically ran for the door. My mother watched her leave, then turned back to me. This isn't over, Maya. I met her eyes. Yes, it is. I picked up my coat. I should leave too. I clearly wasn't meant to be here. My father stood. No, stay. I shook my head. Thank you, but no. I just wanted to bring something to the table. I tapped the promotion letter still sitting in the center. And I did. My sister came around the table and hugged me tight. I'm so proud of you, she whispered. And I'm sorry I never stood up for you before. My brother joined us. Call me this week. Let's get coffee. My father squeezed my shoulder. You deserve this, Maya. All of it. My mother said nothing. She just sat there staring at that letter like it was a death sentence. And in a way it was. The death of her control over me. I walked to the door, then paused and looked back. I was never the problem, Mom. But I was always the solution. You just never wanted to see it. I left. Behind me, I heard my mother's voice crack. Not with anger this time, but with something that sounded like panic. The sound of someone realizing they'd lost a game they didn't know they were playing. I drove home with the windows down, letting the cool night air wash over me. For the first time in years, I felt free. The next day, the announcement went out hospital-wide. We are pleased to announce Maya Carter's promotion to Operations Manager of the East Wing. My inbox flooded with congratulations. My coworkers stopped me in the hallways. This is amazing. You deserve this. Finally, someone who actually knows what they're doing. My mother didn't come to work that day. Or the next. She called in sick. But I knew she wasn't sick. She was hiding. By the end of the week, the restructuring announcement came out. The org chart showed it clearly. Operations Manager me, at the top. Several departments beneath, including nursing. My mother's name under mine. I heard through the grapevine that she'd cried in the bathroom when she saw it. I didn't feel victorious. I felt tired. Tired of a war I never wanted to fight. But I'd won. And more importantly, I'd freed myself. On Friday, Mr. Harrison called me into his office again. I wanted to give you a heads up, he said. HR has scheduled interviews with nursing staff next week. My stomach tightened. For what? Standard protocol when there's a restructuring, he said. But between you and me, there have been enough complaints that we need to look into the leadership there. He meant my mother. I nodded slowly. I understand. I know this is complicated for you, he added gently. But this is about the hospital, not family. I know, I said. But it would always be about family too. The interviews happened. I wasn't part of them, but word spread fast in a hospital. The complaints weren't just about management style. They were about everything. Favoritism toward Bridget and others. Taking credit for other people's work. Ignoring safety protocols to save time. Retaliating against staff who questioned her. The list went on. Nurses who'd been quiet for years finally spoke up. The dam had broken. My mother called me for the first time since the dinner. Maya, you have to help me. They're trying to force me out. I sat at my new desk in my new office. I can't help you, Mom. This is HR's process. You're my daughter. And you're the one who told me I bring nothing to the table, I said quietly. Remember. Silence. I remember, she finally whispered. I'm sorry it's come to this, I said. But I can't fix this for you. You have to face it yourself. She hung up. I sat there for a long time staring at my phone. Part of me wanted to feel guilty. But I couldn't. She'd made these choices. Now she had to live with the consequences. 2 weeks later, HR called my mother into a meeting. They offered her early retirement. A graceful exit, they called it. But everyone knew what it really was. She'd been forced out. My mother cleaned out her office on a Wednesday afternoon. I happened to be in a meeting nearby when I saw her carrying boxes to her car. She looked smaller somehow. Older. Tired. She saw me through the conference room window. For a moment our eyes met. Thought she might come in. Might say something. But she just looked away and kept walking. That was the last day I saw my mother at Riverside Medical Center. The place she'd ruled for 15 years. The place where she'd made me feel invisible. She was gone. And I was still standing. My first week managing the East Wing was chaos. The previous manager had left things a mess. Schedules were disorganized. Staff morale was low. Protocols were outdated. Exactly the kind of challenge I'd been handling in the shadows for years. I rolled up my sleeves and got to work. Within a month, I'd reorganized the scheduling system. Within 2 months, staff turnover dropped by 30%. Within 3 months, patient satisfaction scores went up. People started calling the East Wing the model department. And my name was finally on the reports. Mr. Harrison stopped by my office one afternoon. You're exceeding every expectation, he said. Keep this up and you'll be director of operations within 2 years. I smiled. I'm exactly where I want to be right now. And I meant it. My siblings and I started meeting for coffee every Saturday. Without our mother there, we could actually talk. My sister told me she'd felt suffocated for years. My brother admitted he'd always known I was treated differently, but he didn't know how to help. I was a coward, he said. I'm sorry. You're here now, I said. That's what matters. My father called more often. He and my mother were still together, but things were strained. She's struggling, he told me one evening. She won't admit it, but she is. I didn't know what to say to that. I'm not trying to make you feel guilty, he added quickly. You did nothing wrong. I worry about both of you. I'm okay, Dad, I said. Really? And I was. For the first time in my life, I wasn't defined by my mother's disapproval. I was defined by my own achievements. 3 months after her retirement, my mother sent me a text. Can we meet for coffee? I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Part of me was curious. I replied, okay. Saturday at 10. Thank you. Saturday came. I arrived at the coffee shop first and ordered my usual. She walked in 10 minutes later. She looked different. Smaller. Less polished. Human. My mother sat down across from me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Thank you for coming, she finally said. I nodded. What did you want to talk about? She stirred her coffee, not meeting my eyes. I've been doing a lot of thinking these past few months. I waited. I was wrong, she said quietly. About so many things. The words hung in the air. I spent so long trying to be perfect at work that I forgot how to be human, she continued. And I took it out on you. I didn't know what to say. You were always so capable, she said. So smart. So organized. And instead of being proud, I felt threatened. My chest tightened. I thought if I kept you small I'd stay big, she whispered. But all I did was hurt my daughter. Tears welled in her eyes. I'm sorry, Maya. I'm so sorry. I'd imagined this moment 1,000 times. Sometimes I imagine myself yelling. Sometimes walking away. But sitting here now watching my mother cry, I just felt tired. I appreciate the apology, I said carefully. But it doesn't erase what happened. I know, she said quickly. I know. I'm not asking for that. What are you asking for? She looked at me finally. A chance. Eventually. To rebuild something. Even if it's small. I took a breath. Maybe. Someday. But not now. She nodded. I understand. We sat in silence. You're thriving at the hospital, she said. Everyone says so. I am. I'm proud of you. The words I'd waited my entire life to hear. But they didn't feel the way I thought they would. They felt empty. Because I didn't need them anymore. 6 months after the family dinner, Mr. Harrison called me into his office again. The board wants to expand your role, he said. I raised my eyebrows. Already? He smiled. You've turned the East Wing around completely. They want you to do the same for the other wings. What position? Director of Operations. For the entire facility. My heart stopped. You'd be overseeing all operational departments. It's a massive responsibility. When would this happen? 3 months. After your 1-year mark as operations manager. I thought about it for exactly 5 seconds. I accept. He laughed. Don't you want to think about it? No, I said. I've been preparing for this my entire career. I'm ready. And I was. 3 months later, I moved into the Director of Operations office. It was on the executive floor. 2 doors down from where my mother's office used to be. The irony wasn't lost on me. My first day I walked those halls with my head high. People congratulated me. Senior staff shook my hand. The CEO herself stopped by. We're lucky to have you, Maya. Lucky. Well, hard work. Persistence. Refusing to stay small. That's what got me here. Not luck. I sat at my new desk and looked at the photo I'd placed there. Me, my sister, and my brother at last week's coffee meetup. All of us smiling. A family rebuilding itself without the weight of toxicity. My phone buzzed. My mother. I saw the announcement. Congratulations. You earned it. I stared at the message. Then I typed back. Thank you. Small steps. Maybe someday we'd rebuild something. But right now I was exactly where I needed to be. My first major initiative as director was implementing a new recognition program. Employees who went above and beyond would be publicly acknowledged. No more invisible workers. No more people doing the real work while others took credit. The program launched to overwhelming support. In the first month I recognized 12 staff members. One was a young coordinator who'd been doing exactly what I used to do, working in the shadows, making everything run smoothly, getting no credit. I called her into my office. I see what you're doing, I told her. And I want you to know it matters. She teared up. Thank you. I didn't think anyone noticed. I notice, I said. And I'm going to make sure others do too. I promoted her 2 months later. The hospital culture started shifting. People felt valued. Morale improved. Staff retention hit record highs. The local news did a feature on Riverside Medical Center's turnaround. They interviewed me. What's your secret? The reporter asked. I thought about it. No secret, I said. Just treating people like they matter. Like their contributions are seen. The segment aired on a Tuesday evening. My phone exploded with messages. My sister, you're amazing. My brother, so proud of you. My father, your mother watched it. I didn't respond to that last one. But part of me hoped she saw it. Hoped she understood. This was what I'd been capable of all along. He just never wanted to see it. A year into my role as director, I was invited to speak at a healthcare leadership conference. The topic, empowering invisible workers. I almost said no. Public speaking terrified me. But then I thought about that young coordinator I'd promoted. About all the people still working in shadows. About the version of myself that used to believe I brought nothing to the table. I said yes. The conference was in Chicago. 300 healthcare leaders in the audience. I stood at that podium, my hands shaking, and told my story. Not the sanitized version. The real one. About working for years without recognition. About my mother's sabotage. About the dinner I wasn't invited to. About walking in with that promotion letter. About rebuilding myself from the ground up. The room was silent when I finished. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Then everyone. A standing ovation. Afterward, dozens of people approached me. Thank you for sharing that. I've experienced the same thing. You gave me hope. One woman, probably in her 50s, grabbed my hands. My daughter works for me, she said, tears in her eyes. And I've been doing exactly what your mother did. She was crying now. I'm going to fix it. Thank you. I squeezed her hands. It's not too late. I meant it. For her. For her daughter. Maybe even for my mother and me. Someday. 2 years after that family dinner, I received an unexpected letter. Hospital letterhead. I opened it, confused. It was from the board of directors. We are pleased to offer you the position of Chief Operations Officer. I read it 3 times. Mr. Harrison was retiring. And they wanted me to replace him. I was 31 years old. One of the youngest COOs in the hospital's history. I called Mr. Harrison immediately. Did you know about this? He laughed. I recommended you myself. You've earned it, Maya. I don't know what to say. Say yes, he replied. And keep changing lives. I accepted. The announcement went out the next day. My phone didn't stop buzzing. But one message stood out. My mother. I saw the news. I always knew you were capable of extraordinary things. I just wish I'd told you sooner. I'm so proud of you, Maya. Your father and I both are. We'd love to have you over for dinner sometime. No pressure. Just whenever you're ready. I love you. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I typed back. Maybe next month. We can try. Small steps. Rebuilding trust took time. But maybe it was possible. Maybe. My first day as COO, I walked into Mr. Harrison's old office. My office now. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. A desk bigger than my first apartment. Photos on the wall of previous COOs. All men. All older. I hung my own photo. Young. Female. Smiling. Different. But exactly what this place needed. My first meeting was with the entire executive team. 20 people around a massive conference table. Some looked skeptical. Some looked curious. I stood at the head of the table. I know I'm young, I said. I know some of you are wondering if I'm ready for this. Several people shifted uncomfortably. I'm not going to convince you with words, I continued. I'm going to convince you with results. Over the next year I did exactly that. Patient satisfaction scores reached all-time highs. Employee retention rates improved by 40%. Hospital efficiency ratings jumped from middle of the pack to top 10 in the state. Revenue increased. Costs decreased. The hospital thrived. And so did I. That young coordinator I'd promoted? She was now operations manager of the East Wing. My old position. The cycle continued. Invisible workers becoming visible. Underestimated people proving their worth. The culture I'd dreamed of building was real. And I was leading it. At night I'd sometimes think back to that moment in the supply closet. Crying. Broken. Believing I was nothing. That version of Maya felt like a stranger now. But I remembered her. I honored her. Because her pain led to my strength. 3 years after the dinner that changed everything, my family gathered for Thanksgiving. All of us. Together. Including my mother. She was different now. Softer. More present. Therapy had helped, she told me. Facing what I'd become, is how she put it. Our relationship wasn't perfect. Maybe it never would be. But it existed. And it was real. We could sit at the same table without tension. We could talk without cruelty. That was enough. Before dinner, my mother asked to speak with me privately. We stepped onto the back porch. I want to tell you something, she said. And I need you to just listen. I nodded. Watching you succeed has been the hardest and most beautiful thing I've ever experienced, she said. Hard because I had to face how much I hurt you. Beautiful because you deserved every single achievement. She took my hand. You brought everything to the table, Maya. You always did. I just couldn't see it because I was too busy protecting my own ego. Tears filled her eyes. I wasted so many years. But I'm grateful for now. For this chance to know the incredible woman you've become. I squeezed her hand. I forgive you, Mom. He cried then. Real honest tears. We stood there together watching the sun set. Inside I heard my siblings laughing. My father telling a story. The warm sound of family. Real family. Not perfect. But healing. I thought about that envelope I'd brought to dinner 3 years ago. The promotion letter that started everything. I'd brought proof of my worth that night. But the truth was simpler. I'd always been worthy. I just needed to believe it myself. And now I did. I was the chief operations officer of a major hospital. I was a leader who lifted others up. I was a daughter who'd set boundaries and demanded respect. I was a woman who'd taken her power back. I brought everything to the table. I always had. They just hadn't been ready to see it. But I didn't need their validation anymore. I had my own. And that made all the difference.